Hello, this is John Claiborne from the Bashful Puppet blog, and right now we're building this prairie dog puppet. This is the first one I've made. He was kind of a prototype, and now I'm building two additional prairie dogs for this, and we're at the stage now where we're ready to begin attaching the fabric to the puppet. In the last segment that we had, we cut out we laid out the fabric with the pattern, traced it out, and then we've cut it out. Now we're going to begin attaching this to the puppet so that we'll be pinning it on so that we'll be ready to sew it. I like to start with the back and nose of the puppet. The most important part of the puppet to get right is the face of the puppet. Particularly, in this case, the nose and the mouth and around the eyes. The reason why is because that's where people are going to be looking the most. We try to get the whole puppet done right, but that's the most important part, so that's what we start with. Now, what I'm going to do here first is I have some orange reference markers on my fabric. I'm going to try to get this perfectly centered on the fabric so that the line where the nose meets the head is right on its reference marker, and then I'm just going to pin it right there in the center. Next, I'm going to go over to one side now that I've got it centered, and I've got a line that goes all the way across where that's the nose fabric meets with the head fabric. I'm going to bring over here and pin that in place. Then I'll go to the other side of the head and do the same thing. So now I know that it's centered, and the fabric that's supposed to be for the top of the head and the fabric that's supposed to be for the nose is where it's supposed to be. And as you can see, once I pull that nose down, which will end up being when I glue the fabric to the top of the palette, it looks nice and smooth. Now, what's going to happen when it comes to actually begin fastening it down, this fabric is going to get glued all the way around the top part of this mouth, and that is going to form I guess you call it the upper lip of the mouth, if prairie dogs had lips. I don't know. I'm not a zoologist or anything, so I don't know if prairie dogs have lips. Now that we've done that, we have reference lines down the middle of the head. We'll take the fabric and we'll line that up along, and we're just going to pin it in place. Take the other side, line it right up with the other, pin it in place as well. Now, when I was building this, the pattern for this, I had an old towel that I was working with because I knew it would act very much the same as this. And these lines, it was a huge gather, and I just cut that out. If it lays flat, there's this big V taken out of it. And the way I did it was I just pinned it in place, just like I'm doing now, and just let the gather build up. And then I cut out that big tuck and line the seams up, and that's basically how I did it. I don't know if that explains that part of the process, but that whole method of working is called draping. And some people actually don't even use a pattern at all. They just throw the fabric they're working with over the top of it and pin and glue it right in place. Now, as you can see, it's all lined up there pretty close along the edge, and the head. It looks pretty good all through here. It's loose along the edge, but it's going to be until I sew it into the breast. Now what I'm going to do, stick a couple more pins here along toward the middle of the puppet, and that will help to hold the body fabric in place while I hook the breast fabric on. And the breast fabric, let's get this camera back on. We've got that all in place now. And now we're ready to hook the breast fabric on. We've got it here. And the curved part there is for the chin. And I've got a mark right there in the middle. A mark in the middle on the lower lip. I'll just like the top, we line it up on the middle. Take a pin, pin it in place. Reach it over to, this is the right side of the puppet, get that in place. And pin the left side in place. And now, with that, we're actually almost ready to begin. Oh, looks like I didn't get this pin into the foam. Need to make a little bit of an adjustment here. Get this chin laying nice and tight. There we go. Now, the head will actually be held like this, so if you notice, I've left plenty of length on the bottom all the way around, and that's good, because this is now going to basically get pinned in place right like that. I've run out of pins close by, but it's going to get pinned right in place over the belly, and then I'm going to start pulling that fabric down. Now I'll start pulling the fabric down and begin sewing it in place, and the back fabric and the breast fabric will pull ahead, and if I'm patient and I work like I'm supposed to, it'll come out so that the fabric in the head will lay nice and flat and smooth, matching the contours of the puppet's head, just like it's supposed to, and it'll look very, very nice. Alright. In the next segment, I'm going to show you the I'm going to show you the how to glue the fabric onto the mouth, top and bottom jaw, because that's the next step. And then I'm going to show you in two segments up how to sew the fabric together. I use a special stitch called a lather stitch. It's a it hides the seam very well just by using it that way. So this is John Claiborne with another segment from the Bashful Puppet blog, and happy puppet building.